What would you do if you could not fail?
So I was willing to be radical. See, most people want the convenience of transformation without the inconvenience required for transformations. My grandmother says, and I love to repeat this, your conviction, what you're passionate about, your conviction and your convenience don't live on the same block. And so when you start thinking like that, Tom, all of a sudden, everything is possible. So I disrupt people when I say, you want to make me extraordinary, because it lets you off the hook. Because it lets you off the hook. You get to play like, oh, well, if I had it like her. No, what if you do? What if you do? What if the God that we call God, the divine, whatever your faith is, what if there's no partial? It's not going to give me a hookup and not give you one. Not going to give me an opportunity and not give you one. I'm just going to go after it. If I die, I'm going to die on the treadmill, like Will Smith said. I'm going to be on the treadmill running.
The only thing that I see that is distinctly different about me is I'm not afraid to die on a treadmill. You might have more talent than me, you might be smarter than me, but if we get on the treadmill together, right, there's two things. You're getting off first, or I'm gonna die. It's really that simple.
You know, I'm just not gonna stop, because I believe all things are available to us. I'm just willing to go after them. Are you willing?
Ask yourself, what would you do if you could not fail?
You have to approach each day as though your life and your future depend on your ability to take what? Massive action. When I started my first business, I had to make it work. I didn't have a choice. Look, there was nothing else I could do for a living. There was simply no two ways about it. This is what I had to do. If I wanted people to know me, about what I had created, about what I thought would actually help not 2 or 3 people, but millions of people, then I had to take massive action, period.
People who pursue goals that are about learning, growing, and developing skills report they like their classes more, they like their jobs more, and in general, they enjoy their lives more.
Son, you'll be okay. I know you will, because God has plans for you. I've known that all your life, but that won't ever stop me from worrying about you. I'm your mother. That's what I do. You want to serve, you want to make a difference, I'm proud of that. But whatever form that takes doesn't sound like a statement of confidence. I wonder if you are saying that out of weakness or strength, out of fear or faith. What is motivating you? How are you looking at the world and what it has in store for you, with fear or with faith? You know, son, fear cuts off possibilities. Faith expands them. Fear locks doors. Faith opens them. Fear hides, but faith takes risks. God wants you to be courageous, to be faithful. He wants you to use your blessings, not diminish them with fear. What does it say about you, with all the blessings you have been given in life, that you can't be faithful? All that you have been given, all that you have accomplished by the grace of God, it would be an affront to Him, an insult, if you weren't willing to step out with courage and even enthusiasm. If you weren't willing to step out on faith. Where's your sense of gratitude and the obligation that goes along with it to show your gratitude by doing for others? When God gives you blessings, why would you respond by diminishing them? Why would you act small when God created you, commanded you to be large? You know the parable Jesus told of the talents? A master gave 3 of his servants talents, an ancient unit of money to take care of while he was away for a long journey. 2 of his servants took the talents out into the marketplace, risked them, put them to work, and doubled what the master had given them. But the 3rd was afraid that he would lose the master's money, and so he buried the talent, hiding it from the world. When the master returned, he gathered his servants. He praised the men who had taken risks, who had gone into the marketplace and increased their count. He said to each of the 2, "Well done, my good and faithful servant." He rewarded them by bestowing on them more riches. And then he turned to the third, the one who had buried his talent out of fear. He admonished him, called him wicked for his conduct, and took the talent back. Son, don't bury what God gave you. Don't be the wicked one. This world doesn't need your self-imposed limitations, doesn't need your fear. You were born to magnify the glory of God, not shrink it. You want to serve this world? Well, the world needs the full measure of your faith, your courage, your boldest thoughts, your most inspiring dreams. This world needs you and the talents God gave you. Ask yourself, what would you do if you could not fail? If you knew for sure you would be successful, what would you do? Who would you be? How would you behave? How would you feel? How would you serve? Answer that question. Feel that. Act like that. And even if you do fail, I promise you that you will be better for it, wiser, stronger, and more capable. And success or failure, if you press your talents forward with passion, courage, and faith, when all is said and done, I know God will look upon you and say, "Well done, my good and faithful servant."
Want power is willpower. Your attitude is what really counts. Mastering and keeping positive attitudes is oftentimes the difference between success and failure. Refuse to be discouraged. Remember that the greatest people in history failed time and again, but they refused to become discouraged. They persevered. If one scheme doesn't work, try something else. When things get tough, don't quit, shift gears instead. On the platform, practice makes perfect. So keep trying.
You look at that and you say, well, maybe it's just because he's bagging groceries. That's what it is. But it's not. You see, because right in the same store, there's somebody else making the same money, who's got the same benefits, who is like a double bagger. And his philosophy is there's no two cashiers in the world that I cannot keep up with. They'll never have to touch a bag. And then there are a few that are triple baggers. I used to be a triple bagger. I worked for Kroger's through my master's bagging groceries. That's how I got through it, paid for it. I used to make a contest and see if I could get 3 cashiers and bag for all 3 of them and say something pleasant to them and have fun. And the hour would go by like that, and the people would always want to come to my lines, and there was that kind of a fun thing. I look forward to doing it. Now, the one baggers, 5 years later, they get passed over for a job promotion for manager of a store, if they're still there. And they go home and they tell their wife that shouldn't have happened. They passed me over. They're prejudiced. They don't like me because I'm too tall, or I'm too short, or I'm the wrong color, or I'm the wrong size, or I'm a female, or I'm a male, or whatever it is. They've got their reasons, you see. And they go through their whole lives being single baggers. Even up into their retirement year, they're still making excuses and finding fault and blaming the rest of the world for what is it. And the double bagger owns a chain of Kroger stores.
Ask yourself, what would you do if you could not fail?
In the Bhagavad Gita, one of the great lessons, much better to do one's own work, even if you have to do it imperfectly, than it is to do somebody else's work perfectly. A lot of people don't get that, especially in our culture. Don't understand that if you are following your bliss and pursuing what it is that you know is what you're about, that the real motivation is in just advancing confidently in the direction of your dreams, as Thoreau said. That even if you're doing it imperfectly, and you're not doing it as well as other people are doing it, or as other people think you should be doing it, that it's far, far more enlightened and much better for you as a person, and ultimately will help to serve many others in much greater ways, for you to do that blissfully, than it is for you to do somebody else's work more perfectly. I think I discovered that for myself in many, many ways, in many of the jobs that I've had over a long period of time in my life. And it wasn't until I left them and really began to pursue what it was that I loved, which was the writing and the speaking and the kinds of things that we're doing right here. It wasn't until I was able to do those things and do them at the pace and at the level, even if it was much less perfectly than what I was doing before, And as a result of following that bliss and pursuing that, I became authentic to myself, because who you are is how you think. You become what you think about. As you think, so shall you be. All of that is always important to keep reminding yourself of. And my thoughts, my spirit, my soul was now in bliss.
What is it that gives your life a sense of meaning and purpose? Because once you find that, it puts you in your power place. See, if you know what your life work is, I encourage you to start working on it. If you can't do it all at one time, do just a little bit of it. And if you don't know what it is that you showed up to do, if you don't know why you're here, I encourage you to find out what your purpose is here. What is the meaning of your life? What will be different? Have you ever asked yourself that question? I've done that. I remember coming from a friend of mine's funeral, and I was reflecting on how much time I had left. And I went for a walk in a park thinking about this guy whose life was so promising. And I mean, he wasn't an old guy. He was quite young, in fact. And I thought about all of the things that he said he was going to do, and he never got a chance to do those things. And I started thinking about my own life and how much time I had left to do the things that I would like to do. And at that time, I wasn't sure what my life purpose was, what my life's work was. I wasn't sure about it at that time. And I thought about it quite a lot. I had some idea, but I wasn't convinced, and I don't think I felt worthy. I didn't believe that it could be me to do this kind of work that I'm doing right now. And I say to you that if you begin to take a conscious effort to find out what it is that you're supposed to do, I say that it can literally save your life. Save your life.